I tend to tutor in the late afternoons and evenings, which means that during the day I have another job. I'm a proofreader and editor. And one of the errors that I come across very frequently when I'm doing this job is apostrophes where they shouldn't be and no apostrophe where there should be one. But how do you know? A lot of people find this really tricky, so I've tried to work out a way of making it easier to remember. In order to show you this, I need to talk you through a couple of terms. Singular, this word here, means that there's only one of something. I've got 4 nouns here, and they're all singular nouns. There is only one person, one lady, one man, one child. Then plural. Plural is when there's more than one. People instead of person, ladies instead of lady, men instead of man, and children instead of child. The other 2 terms are singular possessive, which means that something is belonging to our noun that we had. The hat is belonging to the person, the cat is belonging to the lady, the bat is belonging to the man, and the mat is belonging to the child here. And then in the plural, the hat is belonging to the people, the cat is belonging to the ladies, the bat is belonging to the men, and the mat is belonging to the children. Now there are some apostrophes missing here, and we're going to have a look at where we would put them. Let's look at singular possessive first. Now this is where I have a handy rule of thumb. What I do is I work out who it is that is the owner of the object. So for example here, who owns the hat? It is a person who owns the hat. So I put my thumb down there and I pop the apostrophe in there. Next we come to the cat. Who owns the cat? In this case, the lady owns the cat. So I put my thumb after lady, she's the owner, and I pop the apostrophe in there. Same applies for the bat. Who owns the bat? A man owns the bat. So I put my thumb down there after man and pop the apostrophe in there. Then who owns the mat? A child owns the mat. Same rule again, my rule of thumb, pop your thumb down there and pop the apostrophe in there. So much for where there's just one person or one thing owning another thing. Now we come to plural, and that's where things get tricky because there's an S involved here, just as there's sometimes an S involved in possessives. So let's just take the straight plural first of all. Normally, when you have a plural, you just add an S on the end. For example, if these were plurals instead of singular, it would be hats, cats, bats, and mats. Those are regular nouns that just form the plural by adding an S. However, just to be tricky, some plurals don't work like that. So for example, we've got person becomes people in the plural, lady becomes ladies, man becomes men, and child becomes children. And those are sometimes the ones that catch people out when it comes to making them possessive. So let's have a look, because our rule of thumb applies here as well. Let's see, who do the hats belong to? The hats belong to the people. So I put my thumb there and I pop the apostrophe in there. And what about the cats? Who do they belong to? The cats belong to our nice ladies. So ladies, I put my thumb after the plural, ladies, and that is where the apostrophe goes. Then the bats. The bats belong to the men. So I find the word men in here, pop my thumb down there and pop the apostrophe on there. So the bats belong to the men now. And last but not least, we have the mats that belong to the children. So again, get my handy thumb, pop it down there and put the apostrophe there. So we've got singular, we've got plural, we've got singular when something is belonging to a singular noun, and plural when something is belonging to a plural noun. Hopefully that's clear. Remember the rule of thumb. Now, there's one other time when we use apostrophes, and that is to show where a letter is missing. For example, let's look at these 2 sentences down here. Mum's really grumpy today. Now, there's nobody belonging to anything here at all. It's just a straight, Mum is really grumpy today. So there's a missing I before this S. And to show that missing I put in an apostrophe to show that there's something missing. And then here again, the dog's sleeping under the car. Just one dog, and it happens to be sleeping under the car. Dog is sleeping, so we've got a missing I again. In goes the apostrophe to show where the I is missing. So I hope that helps clarify apostrophes, plurals, and all that jazz. It's Karen here at the Learning Cauldron, and I hope that's been helpful.